Welcome to the Principles of Success. My name is Nathan, and this is Season 1, Episode 33. And today is the last episode of the relationship episodes. And we're going to focus mostly on the relationship aspect. There is something that I was going to talk about it, but called the 5 Love Languages. But I'm going to do the book review of the 5 Love Languages on Friday. So go listen to that to learn about the 5 Love Languages. So because I'm not covering that, what I'm going to start out with is I'm going to talk about how every relationship at its core is selfish. Now, I'm not saying everybody's a narcissist, and I'm not saying that it's manipulative, but I am saying that if you're not getting something of value out of the relationship, then you wouldn't be maintaining the relationship. And the reason why I'm framing it that way is because I want you to remember that because you're like that, the other person is like that too. So if you're not giving them something that they value, there's no reason why they should maintain that relationship. And we'll go more in depth into that in a second. But I'm not saying it has to be even something big. You can get a lot of value out of just caring about somebody. You get that nice upbeat feeling from caring about somebody, and that makes you feel good. So then that's the value you're getting out of it, is you're feeling good. And why do you care about that person? A lot of times it's because of how they make you feel. And that's really what most relationships are about, is how they make you feel. So now back to what I was referring to earlier. Every relationship has a bank account, a bank balance. And you're either in the positives or in the negatives. And what these are is the feelings. You're either in positive feelings or negative feelings. And you make deposits and withdrawals every time you give somebody an emotional spike, whether it's positive or negative. You make somebody smile and laugh, your positive bank account goes up. If you piss somebody off because of some rude comment you made, your bank account goes down. And it's really important to remember that takes into account. The other problem and the other part that's really important to remember in this bank account analogy is a withdrawal is magnified compared to a deposit. So you might do one good thing and go up 1 point. But you might do one minor bad thing and you might go down 10 points. Because of how human beings are wired, we're always focused on more of the negative side. Because if you miss a threat, you're dead. But if you miss a bonus, you might still get to live another day. So make sure that you try and stack the balance as much in the positive as you can. So constantly be trying to uplift those around you, because if you're not, then the relationship is probably in the negatives. And there are plenty of people who are toxic out there, and you need to remember that if they're an emotional drain on you, that maybe you should cut them. That's easier said than done for some situations, especially if that is your spouse and mother of your kids, or father of your kids, or your parents or your siblings, any of those. It's a lot easier said than done. So that leads into the next part of you don't necessarily have to cut them. Sometimes somebody will be negative because you haven't been filling their bank account up enough. They don't feel fulfilled in the relationship with you. So they might treat you harsher because they don't like you that much, because you haven't been the best of persons to be around. There's a little dialogue that Tony Robbins does occasionally, and he's pretending to be a girl and of a very distraught, angry girl, and she's like, he doesn't know what he's missing. He doesn't know what he's got. And then Tony Robbins goes, or maybe he does know what he's got, and he doesn't quite like what he's got. Maybe that's why he's distant and stuff like that. So, sometimes when a person is negative, I'm stressing sometimes because there's plenty of bad people out there and you don't need to fall down that rabbit hole, but sometimes when a person is negative is because they feel it's because they're running on empty emotionally from you. Your relationship is running on empty or negative, so they are regarding you negatively. You have a negative light in their eyes. So constantly be trying to build up that bank balance, that reservoir of positive emotions and good feelings all around. Next thing I want to talk about is take 100% responsibility. It's not the other person's fault that the relationship's not going good. It is 100% your fault. Now, back to the caveat of there's plenty of toxic people out there, but generally, the people that you're trying to maintain a relationship with, if you're a healthy-minded individual, which you kind of have to be able to be listening, to have the willpower to listen to something boring like a podcast, generally, those people are worth trying to maintain a relationship with, if you want to maintain that relationship with. So those people, you take 100% responsibility for the relationship. They might not be fulfilling you, and you might be questioning whether you want to be in a relationship with them. But first, try and build that bank account up. Make them feel fulfilled. Make them feel like they're gaining immense value out of this relationship. And then watch. See if they don't reciprocate it. Return it. And when they feel more fulfilled and more happy and energized, they will generally in turn try and make you feel more fulfilled and happy and stuff like that. So take 100% responsibility and try and fulfill them in the relationship as much as possible. And this goes for friends, coworkers, spouses, kids, all of that. Take 100% responsibility for it. And when you do that, the blame game stops. And if you're both doing that and not blaming the other person, then it becomes your arguments really go away. Because if everything's your fault, you're not going to attack the other person. And if they're doing the same thing, they're not going to attack you. And that leads into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. And that is, when people communicate, there's really two responses that they do. There's a cry for help or a loving response. When you're feeling good, you want to make other people feel good. When you're feeling bad, you might lash out, be angry, be sad. And all of those are signals that I need help. Now, higher intelligent people than we are would rationally say, hey, I need help with this. But because we're human, we'll most likely be pissed off, sad, all of that. And back to the 100% responsibility part, just because you know that you're in a bad mood and crying out for help on a subconscious level doesn't mean that they're picking up that you need help. So express yourself. Make sure that they know that you need help. And always remember that those two communications are the same for everyone else. Remember that if they're mad at you, if they're ticked off, that's because something's wrong and they need your help to fix it. There's a great quote I like, and it is, when you remember that everyone in the world is on the verge of just assume that everybody has a problem, because 9 out of 10 times you will be correct. Everyone's going through all sorts of crap. So when you remember that they're having problems and they need your help, then you're coming from a more empathetic mindset, and then you're more willing to help and brush off the more negative side of people. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that you got to remember that the most important relationship you have is yourself. If you don't maintain a positive relationship with yourself, then you're going to have a hard time maintaining relationships with others. So what I mean by that is quit the negative self-talk about yourself. And I'm going to freely admit, I spent a good portion of today absolutely beating myself up. I've been going through a pretty rough patch. So, I'm guilty of this too, but you need to quit beating yourself up, because if you are constantly criticizing yourself and bringing yourself down, how are you supposed to be in a good, healthy mindset in order to help others? And remember, all those people are struggling with this too. So, and all the relationships are at their core self-serving. So if you're not helping them and making them feel better, then they're not going to be feeling full and wanting to help you. So constantly be monitoring your self-talk and making sure to build yourself up and not tear yourself down. Because when you tear yourself down, it has ramifications throughout your whole life. And I know that you are going to do it constantly, every day, regularly. But as you keep trying to improve on this aspect of your life, you will get better at it. You will have some downtimes, like recently with me, where you're giving yourself tons and tons of crap. I'm pretty much talking to myself right now, of beating yourself up, saying you're not worthy, saying you're not worth it, wondering why anybody would care about you. But you got to keep going. You got to talk yourself up, not down. And when you do that, you're going to be more confident, and you're going to have a happier look on life. Because when you're negative towards yourself, you're not doing anything productive. You're making yourself miserable. I know it seems like it's important to talk bad about yourself and talk bad about others. It seems I'm just being honest, but it has no purpose. All it does is make you feel like crap, make others feel like crap. So, stop it. And with that, I'm going to leave that there. Have a good day. See y'all on Friday, where we will talk about the 5 love languages.